Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War event objectives for the Orc of Shame event in which the Orc Rogue is added to the game. So we have a few things going on this week. The most noteworthy one is we have a Vault weekend this weekend. We just had one 2 weeks ago, but we already have one again, so 2 this month total. So definitely make sure to get all of your grind in, particularly on Explore, where you can farm all of the gnomes and get all your Vault keys and everything else at a lot quicker pace. Aside from that, Grosh-Nak itself, the kingdom, ends up getting to 26 stars, and we have the Australia Day pet coming in for 2024 this Wednesday. So definitely make sure to pick that up as they come in pretty sporadically after the fact, so make sure to get it on that Wednesday. Only be available for that 24-hour period of time. As far as the troop is concerned, it is unfortunately pretty underwhelming. It does come in with brown, purple arcane if you end up needing it. As far as your troop itself, it steals all gold from an enemy, so we already have other gold-stealing troops that exist within the game. And this is just another, but it doesn't really do it that well. It has no follow-up. It deals some damage to an enemy and then inflicts bleed on them. It says a boost ratio here, however, nothing in its ability actually boost ratios. So, yeah, it doesn't really do much. There are already better ways of end up doing essentially what he already does. He does have stealthy, but that's not going to be enough to save him. And beyond that, he doesn't really have anything going for him. He doesn't even have like an armor to go with his orc armor for some extra score reduction or something similar. So there's pretty much no use case for it other than getting Grosh-Nak to 26 star as of today. This is the highest it'll be able to get for quite a while, given that, of course, to get to 27 or higher, you need deeds. And for deeds, they actually need to add deed books to the game. So unfortunately, it's kind of stuck there for a while, but makes it easier to get 5 star, 10 star, 20 star, any other milestone for that little bit of extra armor, which of course is pretty good for Tesla teams, Rowan teams, and the such. Anyways, as far as the world event is concerned, we do have ourselves a pretty straightforward one. We have extra skull damage and extra spell damage. The extra skull damage being particularly relevant as this kingdom is pretty skull heavy. As far as what room you need to do, just don't take Orc Veteran. Just do Rarity Order and do not take the Orc Veteran and you will be good to go. That's all you really have to do for this event. As far as team compositions are concerned, it is pure Rogue. So there's one slight issue with this. Of course, about around this time last year, we ended up having a Zolkari rework. And in that Zolkari rework, one of the biggest rogue options we had kind of got nerfed into the ground. It is Night Spider. It ended up getting changed from creating blue and purple gems to blue and web gems. Web gems are purple gems, however, there's a problem with that. Web gems overwrite other purples. So this substantially reduces the rate at which it actually extra turns, as if you have 15 purples on the board, while your chance is slightly higher that it will end up landing, all your blues and all your purple web gems can overwrite the purples. Whereas when it was purple, the blues could overwrite the purples, but the purples couldn't overwrite the purples. So this substantially lowers its extra turn rate and has basically made it so it doesn't really get used. The other huge issue with this is a lot of teams that it gets used with, most notably, you know, a pure team of Rogue, does not have immune to web. Rogues from Zolkari, yes, but generally any rogue that is actually viable that you would generally run with like a 4-time spider team very specifically does not have immune to web. Meaning you're essentially just giving the enemy web, you get webbed, and then you have 0 magic, and then you can't do anything. This is very problematic, especially since a lot of rogue teams actually want to gain magic. The hero class perk, you gain 1 rogue, or you gain 1 magic to all rogues per extra turn, I believe it is, or per cast, I believe it's per extra turn. And of course, obviously, this thing can infinitely spam extra turns. Well, it could have in the past. So, unfortunately, despite this having been a big staple of how rogues were ran in the past, it's really risky to run these days. And to such a degree that you're probably just running Egg Thief as your mana accumulator for every single team. Then it really comes down to what your main damage source will be, in which case, Consort of Darkness works really good. It's basically Zolgoth, except his insta-kill chance is based on magic rather than guaranteed, but he does it for lower mana costs. Mother of Darkness can true damage spam still, even though you can't really do it as efficiently with Rogue Spider anymore. You can still go down that route and try to true damage them down. It does have a 10 true damage per turn off its final trait once you get a few extra turns down. 4 extra turns and 10 damage to all enemies per turn, so that stacks up to be quite a bit over time. Otherwise, if you need something super simple, you get it landed for free for completing out the Divining Fields questline, and if you just have 2 of them, you're good to go because she has double link into herself. You set the other double link, and that's all you really need. And as we mentioned, as far as mana accumulators, we mostly have Egg Thief. There are a few other alternatives like Captain Skullbeard and such, even a couple Empowers, but you're most likely just going to be going all in on the Egg Thief in most situations. And aside from that, I believe we do have Empower Skull. Oh, wait, no. That would be for the other mode. Never mind. This is Rogue, not the other one. That would be the Orc restriction. But no, we just have Empower into blue. So if you want to build more to like blue with Core Zero, you can. Though the only thing really worth feeding blue into are the mythics and that one guy that like doubles the amount of blue on the board. The swab deck guy or whatever his name is. Anyways. So let's go over now to the weekly stuff. We can actually see the upcoming Lunar New Year event for the Year of the Dragon right around the corner. We're almost there. This Tuesday, we have ourselves the faction event for Dripping Caverns. This is green-blue. This obviously has access to Tesla. We have access to Rowan Quick Kill. So plenty of options to use to go kill it out. Obviously, Leprechaun and the such. Merilith if you want to go down that route. This Wednesday, it's not this pet. It just shows it here because we just had a pet event for it. However, the actual Wednesday pet event is the Australia Day pet. I think it was like some kind of duck-looking thing. If you look in your game when you don't have a pet active, you'll probably just see it there. However, yeah, it's like a little duck thingy. It's just cosmetic Australia Day pet for 2024. Definitely make sure to get it though. Thursday, we have ourselves the class event for the Barbarian hero class. It's one of those hero classes that is trying to be skull-based, but is outpaced by every other skull-based hero class in the game, and is generally in that useless category that is never used. It's among one of the most useless hero classes in the game, I would say overall. Not necessarily because it's the weakest hero class, but because it is weaker than other hero classes that try to do the same thing. So it is effectively very weak because of that, not necessarily because its overall setup is weak, but because there's at least like 5 options, if not more, that do what it does better. And then Friday, we have ourselves the Vote event. So, of course, get the grind on for that, and you'll be able to get a ton of loot. Aside from that, we have ourselves the Soulforge. As far as Soulforge is concerned, there are a lot of good options this week. Most noteworthy one, of course, Arachnin Weaver. We have a Guild War. Oh, yeah, we have Guild War next week, by the way. Remember that, like, month and a half we didn't have Guild War? Supposedly we have Guild War next week, so might want to start preparing for that. But if you need it, Arachnin Weaver, hands down, still among one of the strongest Guild War options in the game from a safety perspective. It webs all enemies, making it among one of the better webbers in the game. Has a double true damage poke. If it gets a kill, it explodes pretty much the whole board. For mana accumulation, has stealthy, so you can't target it directly. Has impervious, so it can't even be countered by stun unless you curse stun it. And on top of all that, has one of the best summons, if not the best summon, of any troop in the game. Having 75% chance to summon a web spinner, which is triple damage pretty much every skull it does. So absurdly good, and all that for only 20 mana costs. And it's even gains a bunch of magic from that as well, or a little bit of magic, so it gains even more damage. Anyways, if you're looking for other things, there are a few others. The most noteworthy other one is Wild Queen. Speaking of Guild War, also very good for Guild War. Personally, don't run her that much these days. She has the same issue that a lot of gem spawners have in Guild War, in that if it misses once, you are very dead. However, she is a bit of a safer option in that regard, because she gets the steal attack from the enemy. So you basically have to make a prediction on if you will kill the first slot. If you don't think you're going to kill the first slot, you should go reduce the attack of the first slot. If you think you are going to kill the first slot, then you reduce the attack of the next one in line, the second slot, whatever it currently is. And you kind of just do that every single time until you've killed out the entire enemy team. And if you guess correctly, their attack will be substantially reduced, if not completely zeroed out. So even if you do give them skulls, they're not going to be able to do anything with it. The bigger issue is giving them green. She's a little bit dangerous to run on green Guild War Day because of green book and everything. But you can get away with it a little bit better on purple and brown days. Even though you don't have as much green synergy to do it on, their team will probably be less countered to her on purple and brown compared to on green day, where if you miss a single time, you will get infinited by book. So, yeah, purple and brown day tends to be her main Guild War days if you're going to run her for such. Though you can get away with green, it's just a lot riskier on green. And one other thing worth mentioning, while this mythic isn't that good, he actually has a final trait that actively hurts him. I have been using him a lot for the Stormheim and or Giant restriction for for the PvP, the new PvP system. And he is worth mentioning pretty much because of that. He does have an Uber Doomskull mechanic, not too many of those currently within the game. He gets to convert 8 gems of a chosen color into Uber Doomskull, though do keep in mind, whatever gem you target does not get converted. Unless there's 8 or less of that gem, not every single one will get converted, nor is it guaranteed that the one you click is converted. So, for example, if there's 10 yellow, and you click yellow, the yellow that you click on is not guaranteed to get converted. I wish it was that way, but that is not the way that it works. However, if there's like 8 yellow or 7 yellow, or, any number like that, below 8 or exactly 8, all of them will get converted guaranteed. Whereas it's a percent chance, obviously, if you're doing like 10, 12, something like that, based on the ratio between how many actually converts and how many are on the board. But for the most part, stuns are working out pretty well. His final trait actively hurts him a lot of times, but can also help set up some skulls if there's like no skulls currently on the board. And he works really good with that one Balder, because they're both blue, and Balder needs all those blues for his extra skill spam. So it's an alternative if you don't want to run like Yarrow Fire Mantle into Fire Giant or something similar for Giants and or Stormheim builds. Just a nice different change of pace. And personally, I feel like it works a little bit better. I've tried both for a decent amount of time, but they're both perfectly fine. So it's just kind of something to offset it if you want it. Definitely pretty low priority, but worth considering if you need a better option for it. Anyways, as far as weapons, there are two really noteworthy ones, and I just want to mention Earth's Fury first. Earth's Fury is, I generally don't build too many teams out of this, but it's mostly because it's one of those weapons that is, you know, if you don't have it on, like if you don't get it this Grosh-Nak week, you might have to wait like another half a year to a year before you can get this thing. However, it is still really good. It's basically Mang, which you get for free just from Brown and Red Hero Mastery level ups. You'll have it by like level 200, level 300 hero class. However, this weapon in particular spreads across your entire team. So there are already kind of other ways that are better to be able to do this. For example, Wild King does this with Enrage, and it gives you your entire team attack and all that. However, it's a great alternative, especially if you don't have that mythic. It's really good for things that scale based on multiplier. So things that do 3 times damage, like Web Spinner, things that have 5 times damage, like, you know, raid events, stuff like that. Any kind of those situations, it gains a ton of value. So it is definitely worth considering in those situations. Otherwise, you can still use the standard Mang, and you'll be fine with that for most things in earlier game, mid-game, stuff like that. But it's a nice alternative if you want to use it for something like a higher multiplier, as due to it having a 3-to-1, anything with a 3 times multiplier, getting exact ratio, and anything higher, of course, is gaining more of a benefit than if you were using Mang. And of course, the very obvious one to get this week, Doomed Codex, Brown Book. Really good for any kind of Brown restriction, most notably Guild War defend teams, but also, of course, Brown just offensively in PvP. If you don't have any other options to use for Brown, this could end up being a pretty good team structure, since your entire enemy team will always be Brown, of course, if you're doing Brown PvP. And Brown Guild War defend is the same reason for this, because your enemy team is 100% guaranteed to end up being pure Brown. Anyways, I believe that was everything, unless you want to get like a utility explodey weapon or something similar. It's mostly just those two. It's just looking for weapons to upgrade the kingdom, or just utility things to use for something like Underspire. Because of course Underspire is a pure pure Grosh-Nak restriction, which is pretty much pure Orc. Which as far as options, we mostly have Empower. We have a lot of, this is the one I meant to do Empower on earlier. We mostly have double Empower Skull, Fist of Zorn, the Traknala. Just using those two and you're pretty much going to be good to go. Obviously, if you have Eyes of Vargris, you basically just run it like you do for a PvP event. Anyways, with that being said, let's start getting into all the teams. That is not how you get to all teams. Gosh, I am so used to going there to get to all teams. I keep forgetting you can't get to the PvP menu anymore. Though, one thing I should probably mention about PvP. Am I going crazy? Is every single option the exact same? Giant, Stormheim, Divine, Strix, Suncrest, Orc. Maybe the middle few are different? We got blue, yellow, red. Maybe those are slightly different. But yeah, they're all kind of the same again. Also, one other funny thing, unrelated note. I did finally get the upgrade to Diamond rank. Did I get Diamond rank? No, I think we finished like 20th. But it said I finished in top 3, so I got 75 of those little gold things, and we moved up. This has happened to a lot of people. This is actually the first time it's happened to me so far. But yeah, we're in the final rank now. And being in Diamond rank gives you 10 extra silver per win. And if you somehow make top 3, you will get a lot of gold marks. So that is pretty unrealistic to do a lot of times unless you have a lot of free time on a given week, as the scores have generally been like 100,000 plus that you need to do for PvP. Like if you look right now, we're what? Not even 6 hours in right now, and we're already up to like 30,000. Now that kind of makes sense, because I think you could easily get way above 5,000. Honestly, I feel like you could almost get 10,000 an hour. It really depends on your team, what kind of ones are available. But for example, running like one of these middle ones and running like Stellarix, I'm pretty sure it depends on your level, but I'm pretty sure that ranges anywhere from like 6,000 to 10,000 per hour, so it's not too bad. But anyways, as far as teams, let's go over all the teams. So let's start from the top. We're going with World Event. World Event, most notable thing, we're stuck to pure Rogue, and we have extra scroll damage and spell damage, so we can go down either route or both simultaneously. For this first team, we are obviously going down all in scroll damage pretty much, and we're going to be based entirely around Consort of Darkness. He's basically Zolgoth, but not guaranteed to insta-kill. His insta-kill chance is based on magic, but you can give him things like Nisha medals and stuff to increase that a little bit, and by that I mean, you know, having them set. Do keep in mind, you will be also setting the damage medals. So depending on what ratio you have, you might not be able to get that much extra magic, as giving him 160% extra skull damage and spell damage does not give him 160% extra kill chance. So this is one of the few instances where setting more Nisha medals might actually be more beneficial. Obviously, whatever medals you have, you still would want to set. However, you could potentially even drop to 20% and go like 2 of the damaging medals into like Anisha, as his amount of magic is very dependent on how good he is, whereas the amount of 160% extra that you get, while useful when you do the scroll spam and everything, won't be as big a deal this time around. So it was actually a week if you're running this kind of build that you can actually go a little bit cheaper on the event and just go like 1 full medal, buy like a tier 2, tier 3, and not even really worry about a second medal, as he doesn't gain as much of a benefit as you would from like Atlanta or, you know, other troops that you might use during this event. Egg Thief, pretty much going to be your main mana accumulator for most of these teams. Biggest issue with it is it starts a bit lower than a lot of other Mass Destroys, making it a lot less popular of an option these days. However, we don't have as many options, so we kind of have to use it. Her ratio of destroy is based on gold, which means she can end up hitting the higher ranges a little bit better. However, she starts a lot slower compared to your average Mass Destroyer, but even by default these days, her default destroy is still pretty solid. With how broken destroys are, this is actually one of the more balanced ones currently within the game compared to the average destroy option. But if not doing that, we do have the Rogue's Blade. This is a weapon that you can't get right now if you don't already have it. However, it's why we're showing on the higher rarity team. But if you do have it laying around, this is the Rogue weapon. So boost ratio is based on all Rogues on your team. And given that everything on your team has to be Rogue, except for Hero, though, of course, in this situation, we are using Hero as Rogue as well. So we're just using this for the full boost ratio. Search a bunch of blue and red. Obviously, we need red more than blue on this team, but Captain McCall does give 50% mana start to all Rogues, as well as if you double tap on something that has Submerge, you will kill it. As in, the first hit will submerge them, the second hit will kill them. Or if they're already submerged, you can one-shot them as well with insta-kill, which goes really well with the insta-kill on Consort of Darkness. And, yeah, then the rest is just mana accumulation. For the lower rarity team, we are going all in on Spam Atlanta until you win. We're doing Mountain Crusher Egg Thief as our mana accumulation base. Very old meta team. Very, very old meta. However, it does work really well for this event because we don't have too many other options. And we're just spamming Atlanta until we win. You get the first copy for free from completing at the Vindian Fields faction, and the second copy you just have to find. And if you don't have that, just run whatever your next best damage source is. Either just the faction legend or whatever else you want to put there. Actually, never mind. You can't do faction legend for that one. It's confusing with a different mode, but put whatever your best rogue damage sources that you can fit there if you don't have a second Atlanta. Next, we have ourselves. Oh yeah, I didn't actually go over all these. Hold up, wait. I was like, wait, the event key drop team. I knew I missed something. I'm like staring over at these, like, wait, why is this over here? So of course, as far as the event key drop table, let me go mention that real quick. Is it worth opening? No, unless you really want to try for Eye of Argus. There's 3 mythics, 2 of which are notoriously some of the worst mythics in the game, Shade of Zorn and Grosh-Nak. So it's not really worth trying to event key if you're trying to go for Eye of Argus. If you're trying to upgrade the kingdom, that's fine, like 10-star, 20-star for all the mythics that you need for it. However, if you're just trying to get Eye of Argus, I do not advise trying to throw event keys for it. If you're doing something like gem keys, it's on average about 1 in 3,000 gem keys will end up having it in it. That is a pretty low chance. So you could still do it, especially if you're missing like most of these or even all of these. But you're either going to get a good mythic or 2 of some of the worst mythics in the game. So be wary of that. But yeah, there isn't really much here that's worthwhile. There's a few good low rarity things like Treknala, which we're about to be showing in a team. Fist of Zorn, which we're about to be showing in a team. Stuff like that. But beyond that, there's not much really to use here. 50% Orc Mana Star isn't really even used that much because you have Empowers in the Kingdoms that are just used a lot more commonly than it. As far as anything that is really used from this kingdom, it's mostly just Eye of Argus these days, which the chance of getting it from any key is absurdly rare with how many mythics are in the kingdom. So overall, unless you're looking to get the kingdom to 10-star, 20-star, 26-star, which you can currently max at, not really worth opening event keys this week, so pretty skippable, which is why I completely forgot to mention them, as they are pretty ignorable this week. Anyways, as far as the faction is for Dripping Caverns, and Dripping Caverns is a green-blue restriction. This gives us access to Rowan build, and Leprechaun, of course, and Mirage Queen, and of course, Tesla. We can run Tesla Holy State Astra with either hero if you need a tankier option, or in the case of this team, just a Leprechaun. Though do replace this with a tank hero class if you feel like you're dying too much. Elementalist, Titan, whatever you want to put there, put it there. and then just go double test the Holy State Astra, which of course is the core of the team. I'm just doing Leprechaun here because if you have really high durability, you should be able to win before it's relevant that Leprechaun dies. Though if you find you are dying at all for any reason, just replace out the Leprechaun for something substantially tankier. Actually, you could even replace out Holy State Astra for the Leprechaun and then put your tank at first slot too, which is always an option as well. But anyways, as far as pure faction, we're going really heavy on the Shoggoth. Main reason for this is it's just the best thing there. You can even 4-up on it if you really want to. It silences and true damages the first and last enemy, so really good overall damage. And then explodes 5 gems of the most used ally mana color, which in this case will end up being blue, at least in this team composition. I'm not sure which one it does when it's a pure team of blue and purple, but in this case, of course, it'll always do blue. So it doesn't really matter which one it's doing. And hopefully there's at least 5 of them on the board so we can actually explode them. Aside from that, it gains Enrage to a random ally when an ally casts a spell. With 3 of them, there's a pretty good chance that you'll get your first slot Enrage every single time. With 4 of them, it's not guaranteed because it can overlap, but it is a pretty high chance they'll end up occurring as well. As far as your first slot here, you do not ever want to cast his ability. It is horrifically bad to a degree I can't even comprehend. You should never, ever cast it. The reason why you have it here is as 50% score reduction. You can drop it if you want more damage and simply just 4-up on the Shoggoth. However, this is the best score reduction thing in the kingdom. Just never cast his ability. Just go straight rush purple for Shoggoth and keep spamming that. But if you want more damage pressure, you can go for Shoggoth, but that does put you in liability of losing them, as they do not really have any way of surviving other than just hoping they don't get hit or taking every skull and making sure they don't hit you. Anyways, as far as Underspire, we kind of already saw this team earlier. It is pure Grosh-Nak restriction. So as far as pure Grosh-Nak is concerned, there's basically 2 routes. Spam Eye of Argus until you win, or use the double Empower and use that with Mang. You do have Mang from Grosh-Nak, as you can see here, so you can do that. As we mentioned earlier, Tricknala Fist of Zorn is among one of the better combos you have access to in this kingdom. It's pretty much the bread and butter of what this kingdom exists of. You have double Empower Skull. This one inflicts Hunter's Mark on the first enemy and then converts all green to skull, which will allow you to do just double damage to them. And then this converts all yellow to skulls and gives you a bunch of attack to your first ally, which generally speaking is the one that's going to be doing damage to the enemy team, unless something really weird happens. And then Shoggoth here is just kind of to offset it. It's just a really cheap thing. It is a legend, but it's a faction legend, so it's really easy to get. Plus you need it for other things this week anyway, so end up working out pretty well. Just a little bit of a mana accumulator into some damage poke. And it does hit first slot, so it does synergize pretty good with the skull spam you have. You can replace this out and offset it for like an Iargris, even the resummon if you want, or something similar. But this one's a little bit easier to get, so as far as rarity is concerned. So I just ended up putting it there for the low rarity team. And for our final one here, just a very simple spam mana link into good weapon kind of premise of team. We're just running Black Manacle, of course, just nice, accessible. If you have something better, use something better if you have it. Otherwise, just good old standard Black Manacle will be fine, using Archmages for +3 purple. Combined with this, that is +6 purple. Using the banner for double brown, so we can go the brown or purple route for a total of +7 purple and +2 brown. So if we surge on brown, we'll still get full mana, and if we take purple, we will basically get infinite mana per purple. So, yeah, it ends up working out pretty well. Just keep spamming Black Manacle. You can offset a little bit with excess purple into poking with her as well, but you're mostly just spamming Black Manacle or any purple weapon until you end up winning. Anyways, guys, I think that'll wrap it up for now. If you guys still have any other questions, hey, tribute trading, nice. Give me that. Come on, big tribute. Yeah, oh, that was small. Well, these, gosh, 24 is almost a disappointing one these days. Technically, it's a 25, but you know, you get 24 gems. But our tribute's been pretty high lately. We have, like, what, 38 kingdoms now? Just keeps getting higher and higher. But anyways, guys, if you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. But yeah, a little bit of a tamer week this week. Mostly Wednesday and Friday with all the main stuff coming in. Wednesday being Australian Day pet and only available that day. And Friday all weekend, we have ourselves the Vault Event weekend. So definitely don't miss that and get your grind on that. Anyways, guys, hope you all have a wonderful week. Stay safe out there, stay warm, and I will see you guys soon. Goodbye, everyone, and thanks for watching.